Brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, I trust that your first couple of days back have been enjoyable and productive, and hopefully I will be seeing you very soon. And I'm sure that you miss me very much, as with the other teachers. Now, again, this is going to be chronological in year order. It'll be year 12, year 9, year 8 and year 7. Skip to any year that you're part of. First of all, so British literature, as I briefly entailed in the description on Moodle, I want you to create an essay on one of the 3 prompts that I gave you. So I'll quickly just run through some of the possibilities. Who is the real monster in the text, Frankenstein or his creation, as we've discussed as well. Just a hint, it doesn't always need to be this side only for one essay, 1.5 to 2 pages, or this side for an essay, 1.5 to 2 pages. When we're reading your essay, we want to see a balanced argument, saying, well, in this case, yes, in this case, no, because it shows good evaluation of a text and of events. So you can say, if you want, that Frankenstein was the real monster, or its creation was as well in part. They both were. So try to think of that and give a detailed, well thought out response, rather than just a one-dimensional, well, the creation is the monster because he killed someone, and then you just give 3 examples. I want a well flushed out essay. The second is, what does Frankenstein, the text, show about science? Is it a force for good or for evil? As I just mentioned in the first essay, it can be for both if you want. It depends on how you use it. And the last essay prompt, the true message of Frankenstein is that parenting is the most important virtue in the world. Or good parenting is the most important virtue in the world. So I would like you to provide at least 6 quotes to back up your thoughts and evidence from the text, as I have asked you throughout these last maybe 6 or so weeks, that you should be compiling some of these quotes just to help you, for the essay at hand. If you need some suggestions, or if you want to talk about it a bit more in depth, don't hesitate to email or video call me. The essay is due next Thursday. Good luck and well done so far. I know it is extremely difficult, considering you are in year 12 and you're trying to make the best of a difficult scenario. So we're going to have more interactive activities from now on, which includes Zoom sessions, and as we've been doing recently, video sessions of me discussing this more in depth. The first Zoom session will be on Friday, just to help us with any questions that we have about the essay, and to actually have a group discussion once and for all. Because as you very well know, my dear darling year 12s, class is not just about writing, it's about communicating and discussing. So thank you very much, and I will hopefully see you sooner rather than later. Enjoy, everyone. Now, to the year 9s, I would like you please to focus and explore the roles of men and women in Islam. So please create a table in which you describe, compare and contrast the roles of men and women in Islam. So the table that I've brought up as well, you can use that as a template. So one with roles of men, one table with roles of women, what they did differently, as we did in a few months ago with ancient gatherers. Someone hunted, someone gathered, someone child reared, someone fought, and so on. They had different roles for their particular society. So I want you to do the exact same for men and women in Islam. And additionally, after that table, please answer how the roles have changed in modern Islam, so in 2019, if they have, and by how much have they changed. For example, child raising, has that changed at all in the last 1500 years? Working, housekeeping, and just keep in mind that our cultures are similar in some ways, but are very different in other ways. We'll also focus on that in due course. For example, when it comes to the West, a lot more women work in the workplace compared to traditional Islamic cultures. Now, if you have any questions, again, please let me know, and I will hopefully see you sooner rather than later, everyone. So thank you very much. Now, to my Year 8 history students, for the War of Independence, the Revolutionary War, it was great to see some inspirational speeches given in. There was a lot of passion, and I could see that you definitely put yourself into the eyes and into the events of these people, which was excellent to see. Hopefully, if we do come back in the next week or two, which would be amazing to see all of your lovely faces, as I'm sure you'll be happy to see mine. I would like to have some of the class present their speeches, if you do want to, of course. Now, I want you to, for this class, please write about the differences between the Loyalists and the Revolutionaries. So those are the two opposing factions around that time. What did the Loyalists want, and why do they feel this way? And give your own opinion after you've given those facts. And I want you to explain, do you think they had any good points? So were the Loyalists good in some regard? For example, some of them didn't want war with Britain, which is one of the reasons why they wanted to stay loyal and stay subject to the crown at that time. Now, it is at least half a page, and I want you to include a quote from both a loyalist and a revolutionary. It is really important to let people from that time speak for themselves rather than let historians do so, hundreds of years later. Because who better to explain it in the context of what they're feeling than their own, themselves. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. We can video call or email. And thank you for being so fastidious and vigilant in your work so far. I know that these are trying times, and hopefully I will see you very, very soon. Thank you all. And lastly, my dear geography students, we are going to continue on with Latin America and focusing on forming new nations. So we were looking at the Spanish and how they conquered Latin America, and the legacy and the impact that the Spaniards had on the cultures of these ancient peoples. So for this geography lesson, I want you to please pick a partner. So email them or text them, or however you young folk communicate with each other nowadays. I want you to choose one nation in Latin America, whether it be Mexico, Venezuela, Ecuador, Bolivia, and Brazil. And I want you to research how that one nation got their independence from the Spanish, because it is very important to remember that different regions and different countries in that time had their own kind of journey and their own relationship with their rulers, with the Spanish. So some fought earlier, some fought later, some wanted a peaceful revolution, some wanted required a violent revolution. So it is very important to see how they changed and how they communicated with diplomacy or with violence with the Spaniards. I also want you to think what events had happened in recent decades that inspired Native Americans and enslaved Africans to lead them to think about their independence. By this I mean, why didn't they do this 100 years before? But I'll give you a hint. Something had happened in maybe the 30 or 40 or 50 years in the world that had made them start to think about their freedom. So try to think about that. Why, that time, did they want to fight for their independence? Also, what major figures and events led to the liberation of the people and the creation. For example, if it was North America, I would say, well, it was George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin. What version of those were in Latin America? There are a lot of them that fought and led politically and militarily for their peoples. And also, what political and economic challenges arose in the creation of the nation? So, why did they not shoot up like North Americans did in their economy after a few decades? Soon after North America became a country, they became one of the more powerful nations in the world. But why was it a little more difficult for the Latin American countries? And I want to also provide 2 quotes from significant people of that time. And this is a must, as it's vital for the people of that era to speak for themselves, not just, the historians or the teachers or the students in 2019, because who better to help explain the context and how they're feeling than the people that actually were there? So I think that's incredibly important that we bring that link back to those particular times. I've provided links to help you get started, but just so you know, there are a lot of other websites and historians and places that you can look at, and YouTube videos that you can inspect that will help you understand this more. So again, this needs to be a PowerPoint presentation sent to me, and because it's in pairs, it should be 8 slides. So you have 3 days to do this as well. So don't panic and think that you have to do this all in one day. It is so three days for you to do it in pairs, and provide pictures and create a format. Create a format that is not just text, next slide, text. Make it appealing and make it look interesting. Okay. Other than that, I hope that I will see all of your cheerful and lovely faces sooner and not in a million years. And I thank you for trying in these difficult times to work as hard as you can. So, on that note, thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Thanks all.